Alabama Senator Katie Britt has introduced a bill to let the government track your pregnancies. That's right. The bill, the More Opportunities for Moms to Succeed Act, would mandate the creation of a federal website called pregnancy.gov, to which Britt calls a clearinghouse of relevant resources available for pregnant and postpartum women and women parenting young children. So, okay, you sign up for this, what is essentially a government database filled with so-called resources. What do you get? What kind of resources will you receive by telling the government that you are a pregnant person? Apparently, nothing of value. The database would refer users to so-called crisis pregnancy centers. Ah, yes. Crisis pregnancy centers, which are nothing more than fake clinics with fake doctors peddling fake information. I mean, these are people that are walking around with lab coats and clipboards and everything, pretending, cosplaying to be medical professionals who oftentimes have absolutely no medical training whatsoever, because no one with actual medical training would sit there and peddle these complete and utter lies about having abortions and things like that. So yeah, the goal though of these crisis pregnancy centers is to lie and scare women away from getting an abortion, even if it means it could save your own life getting that abortion. And so, can't wait to see the blood on their hands when there are women that decide not to get abortions and then die during childbirth, because that's what happens, or die from some pregnancy-related condition that they could have had treated but didn't because of these crisis pregnancy centers. Now, apparently, this just shows that the right wing is so pro-life that they will let you die as long as you end up squeezing that fetus out. That isn't guaranteed to live, because oftentimes trouble for the fetus that ends up impacting the mother usually ends up killing the fetus as well. So congratulations, that's 2 lives on you now that have been lost. Now, the bill specifically forbids any entity that performs, induces, refers for, or counsels in favor of abortions from being listed in the database. So that would exclude any actual healthcare facility. Lovely, great, wonderful. The bill also establishes a federal grant program to fund these crisis pregnancy centers listed on the pregnancy.gov database. That means even if you are pro-choice, which the majority of the country is, your tax dollars will end up going to funding these fake clinics spreading fake information to try to scare people out of getting abortions. That's what our tax money is going for. I know the conservatives are like, we don't want our money to go to abortions because we disagree with it. Well, here they want your tax money, you and I, our taxes, to go to these centers actively spreading bullshit. And that's what it is. Fake medical misinformation, also known as bullshit. Okay? That's what they wanted to do. Lovely, wonderful, great. Now, the bill also specifically prohibits any grant funding from being awarded to any entity that provides or refers for abortions, which eliminates almost every actual healthcare facility out there. Yes. And what about the people running it, by the way? Very likely that whatever government staffer gets stuck with this is going to be told to pressure women out of seeking proper health care if it involves getting an abortion. So, I mean, there you go. There you go. I mean, that's what Katie Britt's plan is about, okay? So now, here's the other thing. The database. Again, you call and you sign up for this, you're going to be entered into a government database, and they're going to know that you're pregnant. There could be some problems here that arise from sharing this information with the government, especially a government where in many different states is criminalizing people who are pregnant that might end up having a miscarriage. All right? I mean, look, the government could find out if you are no longer pregnant. Well, okay, so if you entered your name into the database to get these resources, right, you're telling the government, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm looking for resources, right? So what happens if you're no longer pregnant, but they don't record a birth? I mean, you know, everyone that's born obviously gets a social security number from the government. What's going to happen if that doesn't happen? Are they going to follow up with you, try to figure out, hey, why do you not have a child? What happened to it? Well, that could get you in trouble in certain states that have laws criminalizing having miscarriages. For example, Tennessee, Alabama, and South Carolina have been criminalizing women for having stillbirths or miscarriages, things like that. Now, they actually lead the nation in arresting and criminally punishing women for allegedly posing a danger to their fetuses. This is according to a report released by advocacy group Pregnancy Justice. Alabama had far and above the highest number of pregnancy criminalization arrests, representing almost half, 46.5% of the total. A lot of that happens to be women who may have used drugs or alcohol during their pregnancy. And I'm not talking about just hard drugs, like, for example, cocaine, methamphetamines, and also other drugs like cannabis. In about 1/4 of the cases, the substance was actually legal, such as nicotine, alcohol, or prescription opiates. If they're in their system, and they're in your fetus's system, baby system, whatever, this is including if they're born, right? Not to mention if they're miscarried and they find out that the reason of the miscarriage might happen to be related to these drugs, well, then you get thrown into prison. So, and yet, it's the same government. It's going to throw you in prison if you have a miscarriage, all right? They want you to sign up so that you can tell them, hey, I'm pregnant, pay attention to me. And then if something happens that's outside of my control, well, you know, sad day. Because, again, you don't necessarily know if, oh my God, I had a drink this one day and suddenly, you know, weeks later I had a miscarriage. If they can connect those two things. And there's a lot of cases where they can't necessarily connect the two things, but the way that the laws are written and interpreted in a lot of these, you know, life at conception states, they're able to use that to criminalize a miscarriage anyway and throw women into prison. And it happens, yes, to poor white women, but it also happens disproportionately to poor black women, minorities. So, yeah. Now, here's the irony of all this. You know, the people that are in favor of this database, people like Katie Britt, they're the ones that also cry about the government having a possible database for gun owners. They're the ones that scream, tyranny! It's the tyranny! The big government wants to track you if you have a gun! They're coming for you, big brother! In this case, it'd be big sister, you know? But again, those people have no issue with controlling and tracking women's pregnancies to ensure that, what, she doesn't have any freedom, liberty, bodily autonomy? Because at the end of the day, they don't believe that women should have bodily autonomy. Those guns that I mentioned before, they have more rights than women in a lot of these places. Now think about that. At what point can they finally admit that this is not about freedom, it's not about liberty, it is about controlling half the population?